I'll do the apology, will
Well, whatever you want.
I? Well,
If you think you need to apologise.
minute late, David.
No, we're down the rabbit hole.
I know. Right, good afternoon, folks. Welcome aboard. A bit late now. The theatre today, David. There's normally more in their seats by now.
Well, maybe good office.
But numbers are climbing nicely. Anyway, we'll get to saying hello to some people in a wee second. Say apologies for being late. My fault.
We're only technically we're a minute late, David, right? But my arse is getting warm nicely.
Aye. That's because you've got your own naughty step, but me, I'm on mine and all. All right. Anyway, let's have a look and see who's in. Alex Adams, Stephen McNeil, Ashby Stumbles, City Flyer, Julie Brown, Alex Adam, Margaret Mackay, Rosalind Carrigan, Stephen, moderator. Hi, Stephen. Thanks for moderating the programme this afternoon.
Chris Fisher.
Hi, Laurie Hay. Jane McClune.
Stephen Baggia.
Francis McKenna.
Liz Shields.
For some reason, this thing keeps jumping back down again.
Hugh Smith.
McDonald, Robert the Bruce.
Oh my, we're rolling.
Aye. Gary
Sandman.
Kirsty Hamilton.
Robert the Bruce.
Aye, Robert the Bruce. He's a regular. Alan Duncan.
Yeah, Robert.
I see Chris is there.
Aye.
Stuart Mackay. Oh, Stephen's given the list. Francis McKenna. Stephen.
Is that Lan McNeil?
Robert. I've mentioned all these people. There's 91 people, and I can't have mentioned 91 people already. If I've missed you, sorry, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, so sorry, guys. All I do just goes with hi, guys. Right, on this particular episode, we'll call it, right? We decided to bring in some stuff later on from the Private Eye magazine, right? And we've not had Private Eye on before, but the thing is, when you look at Private Eye as it was years ago, and Private Eye as it is now, Private Eye years ago was definitely down the rabbit hole. However, there's a lot of things that were down the rabbit hole that got right. And now some of the stories that the Private Eye are putting up are more factual than some of your big newspapers that are on the newsstands.
Correct.
So therefore, that's the reason why we decided to bring it in, because we don't want to bring in something that's non-factual, and that's not a good idea. All right.
No.
Please carry on, David.
Well, I was just going to say, you're doing amazing, but your progress again has been amazing, David. It's only a wee while since we both got huckled.
Yeah, I know.
You're writing prolifically.
Yeah, the problem with writing is,
you write longhand, David. You do. You always have.
Yeah, I'm writing that. Literally, it goes onto the page as the thought comes into my head. Right. Okay, I do read it and all the rest of it, right? But it ends up whereby it's awfully long.
You're a typical engineer. When you look at a situation, you break it down, you explain it, and then offer up a solution.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Well, funny thing about it is, David, engineers like us, we don't apply that to our private lives.
Yeah, true.
You know, I mean, when I talk about the progress you've made, especially over the last few weeks since we got arrested, I'm talking about going back to when you first did your amputation and the stupid questions you were asking because your head was fuddled. Yeah. You know, how do you go upstairs? Something wrong with your legs, something wrong with your one leg, you're too empty in your arse, you're daft, you bum your way up. But of course, I've got people in my family who have had to look for these solutions down through the years. And I've worked with people who've had to go through the problems that you've got.
Yeah.
You know, so as I say, I just wanted to bring that up so that people understand the progress you've
Yeah,
made.
well, what I'm going to do is I've been using someone that I call Meaty. Meaty is actually Meta AI, the AI that the Facebook have got, right, to do my artwork. And you'll notice if you any of the article put on, it's got a nice glitzy picture to go with it to signify what it is I've been writing about, right? And the one was the King and the Swedish Model, which I thought was a really cracking jazzy. Dropped in my head, and I thought brilliant, right? And there you go. You've got Prince Charles stood on a platform with all the people round about him, and he's handing his crown away. And I thought that was a brilliant visual image to actually signify what I was talking about, the proposal I was talking about. You know,
for that particular article you were writing, it's good, but that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that you're fully cognitive again. And some of the things we spoke about a year ago when I was visiting you in the hospital, and how am I going to do this and how am I going to do that? You know, it's just daft now when you think about it.
I've got my brain back.
That's the main thing, David. Your physical abilities, you can adapt through the book.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about how you're going to get a shower, how you're going to get a shower, so you can put a chair in there with holes in it so that your fucking water drains out underneath you. You know what I mean?
Precisely what I've got. You know.
Yeah, of course that is.
So anyway, that somebody said there, you're a great advert for our NHS. That's Stephen McNichol.
I think you deliberately missed the comment before that. Actually, I know you would have deliberately missed the comment because you're a modest man. And it says the show's never the same without you, Mr. Milligan.
Oh, thank you. That's very humbling. That really is. No, I'll take that. Great.
Nathan, you don't sit in my fucking chair. Shut up, you wazzock. Anyway, David, let's go on, mate, shall we?
Right.
I'm sure that people are desperate to know what it is we're going to talk about.
Hang on a second, just while I sort things out. There you are, right? No problem. Right.
Anyway, it's the Two Davies on the 23rd of the 2nd, 2026. And first up, we'll get the Alba party and its difficulties. Now, Alba's financial difficulties, duty fraud, says Kenny McCaskill. And he's blaming Chris McElhenney.
Sean been at it again?
I don't know if Sean's been at it again, but as we know, the police have been investigating the Alba financial situation since October last year, I think it is. And it was done to be fair, it was done at the request of the party.
Has anybody had a blue forensic tent put up against their front door?
Well, I don't know. You need to phone Chris and ask him.
No,
no, they can't stand candidates.
Yeah.
Apparently,
kind of money. That's all that is.
It's 600 odd quid to run, David, as you know. And then you've got the campaign costs on top of that.
And they were talking about bringing forth maybe 4 or 5% of the votes, and they'd be lucky if they get a list seat off of that.
Well, if we look at the last election, they get 0.5% of the vote.
Yeah.
That was a Westminster election, of course.
David's behest, and I put together a box with the name Alba on it for my friends in Alba, and that's from both of us. That's from both David and himself, right? So at the end of the day, I hope they've taken that in the right way. Many have, others have been stuck their fingers up, and that fine. That's okay. That's all right.
You know, James Kelly, we had him on. He experienced it for the inside, but you and I looked at the people who were putting this together and went, "This is a fucking disaster waiting to happen."
Yeah. You have to understand the cut and thrust of politics. We sometimes say things that are not really. I would say when when I heard about the Alba party going like that, I thought, there's people that I know, people that I've got dear friends that are going to be going to be absolutely gutted with that, you know. And what I was saying to a lot of them was, look, take a few days, relax, stay away from the politics, and just give yourself a chance to process it instead of coming out and fighting everybody that's making a comment, you know.
Nathan, engage a wee bit as we get through the programme. We'll talk about who the Alba party dropping out will benefit. Okay, we're not going to talk about it in this particular point because we're talking about the facts about the story behind the story and what Kenny McCaskill and what the mainstream media is telling us. Because David and I are no party members, so we don't have the inside track.
That's right. That's right.
So, unlike James Kelly, who was a party member,
yes, he was actually an NEC. He was in there probably.
He's an NEC, by the way. But you know, the party finance has been under investigation, which is interesting because there's no really any traction in the press about that one, like it was with the SNP's party finances, you know. And there is a group who have offered to take over and run, and it includes Tommy Sheridan, Angus Brendan McNeil, Christina Hendry, who's Alex's niece, and Susanna Blackley. Now, they've offered to take over the party. But Kenny says, I don't think it makes any difference. Without any money, we can't stand candidates. And he's been speaking to the Electoral Commission because they've been deregistered apparently after Tasman left or took a temporary sabbatical or whatever.
It's my ball and I'm going home. That's it.
So, Kenny can't see how they would be able to stand candidates.
Well, Kenny McCaskill, I've spoken to Kenny McCaskill way back. We were speaking about the royals, what we're going to do with the royal family. And his idea was, I don't worry, we'll get England to pay for them. But anyway, that was 2014.
On that one, I did agree with Kenny. Just fucking spend it and send them the bill. Because after all, it's their responsibility.
Yep.
Now, let's say look at a couple more people. Hi, Tories don't get tails. Hi, Reagan Elite. Now, as I say, the internal machinations of the Alba party are known to us. We do have good friends who joined the Alba party. We might disagree on it as on political points, but it's not as if they stop being our friends just because they have a different point of view.
If Tom's out,
childish.
Tom, make yourself shown. It shows that you're still there and you're okay. A wee comment would be nice.
Oh, right? Tom and Stephanie are still great friends, as is Eva Comrie. You know, it's no. There's never been personal criticising what I've said about the party. Yeah. It's always been about
his politics.
Structure. And the likelihood of success.
You realise that sometimes there's a bit of cut and thrust, but if it was something, there's a team of friends sat around about a table, you wouldn't say half these things. Yeah, simple as that.
No, you just look at it and give it reality, David, as it appears in front of your eyes.
That's right.
No, people were entitled to disagree with that, but that's no reason to fall out with them. I mean, it's like Karen, for the Indie Grannies, Karen Bartlett, love her to bits, great friend. And I was, when the demise of Alba came about, and I said, well, it was to be expected. They weren't going to get any vote share anyway. But Karen shot back with, well, let's face it, David, it took the SNP 30 years to get elected.
Yeah, that's right.
Which was a fair point.
But
that wasn't my point. My point was it was doomed to fail because Alex Hart wasn't in it in the first place and he had to be talked into it.
The most important thing is that wee box that I put together that says open on our Independence Day, right? There's a wee card at the side there. And you probably can't read it, but what it says is keep safely for a future dawn.
Aye.
And that is basically what it's all about, because see, after independence we'll need all these little parties.
Oh, you're right.
Alba and all the rest of it, right? Probably find there'll be a Scottish Conservatives and there'll be a proper Scottish Labour Party, maybe under a different name. I don't know.
Probably your party, actually, because we've moved left to centre. They'll probably just rename themselves, and the people who don't belong in that chapel will leave.
Yeah.
Now, need to say afternoon to Kevin, because when an actual broadcasting legend walks into the room, it's only polite to doff your cap.
That's right. Yeah.
So good afternoon, Kevin. Welcome aboard.
Tugs for looks. Yeah.
Now, people think that I would be gloating at the demise of the Alba party. That's not true.
No, we're not. Neither of the two of us are.
My criticism has been pointing out the errors of their way. And, of course, the fact that the public had already rejected the people who'd come to the fore in the Alba party. Why would they then vote for it? And the main criticism of the Alba party was the name of the party, David, as you know. Alba for independence, Scotland for independence. You're talking about half the fucking population. It wasn't talking about a political party.
Yes, we know that. We know. Anyway, it wasn't your choice. It wasn't my choice. It was Alex Salmon's choice.
Yes.
That's who named the party.
It was a reluctant choice. It was one he didn't want to make.
Yeah, I know.
All right. So the fact that Alba...
Cymru from Wales has said this. Well, I appreciate it, but yes, Cymru, it's open for any people, party interested in the independence of Wales, where I have the same thing. I disagree with others on politics, but we work together.
Yes.
And that's the important part.
Yep.
And we all want an independent, well, it's Wales, right? In Cymru's case, in Scotland in our case.
Yes. And as I say, some of these people with political differences we really actually like.
Yeah. And
there's nothing wrong with that. That's normal.
Yeah.
And some of them came to the fore in the Alba party. So let's move on for the woes of the Alba party. We don't know whether it's going to survive, what its financial situation is, whether there's been a fraud perpetrated against it. I hope not. Because that would say that some of the members were disabled and took advantage of the other members. Dishonest and took advantage of the other members.
Yeah. At the end of the day, let's not get into that.
No.
There's no need for a post-mortem. There isn't. It's
not completely dead yet.
Yeah.
You know, Kenny McCaskill says if they stand candidates or not, will be down to the executive committee, but he doesn't know how they would be able to stand candidates as they don't have the financial resources to do it.
That's right.
But as we know, within that group of people looking to take on the task of taking over the party, Angus Brendan McNeil's no skint.
Right. And the problem is that Tasman Ahmed
Sheikh,
she grabbed the ball and said, "It's my ball and I'm going home."
Yes,
in the story, and a lot of it relied upon her being there.
Aye. The other thing about it is, as we now know, she's actually the chief executive and the person who registered the party.
Yeah.
So technically, she's an Nigel Farage and she owns it.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, okay, shall we move on?
Yes. This one's quite serious, David, so let's give it the bit of gravity that it's due. And that is that Scotland's law lords warn MSPs to stop trying to undermine the legal system.
Yeah, it comes to something when Dorothy Bain is going to actually come into Hollywood, stand where the First Minister stands, and then give a statement and explain to people, look, this is part of my job. This is part of the normal things that go on, right? And the lady has had 40-year career. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. When you start looking back, yeah. And sorry,
her career has been exemplary.
Yeah, and she'd been told that she's corrupt and all the rest. That's just frankly wrong, and that's politicking of the worst kind.
Yes.
Right? If you are part of a party, I mean, it's a conversation that Dave and I were having. If you are a member of a party or a supporter of a party, and you say, vote Alba or vote this or vote that, fine, that's okay. And you can give the reasons why you want to vote it, right? That's fine. That's okay. But the politic in the way that they are, as in, oh, look at that. SNP are getting a political advantage because they're getting told something about a court case that somehow makes them better than us. No, guys. No. That's not the case.
Let me turn this into, let's just say something that's quite much easier to understand. And technical, but I'm going to use a wee bit of technical language to do it. The Procurator Fiscal's Office informed the victim of a crime that a crime may have been perpetrated against it 4 weeks before it became public knowledge. Surely the first person to know that a crime may have been perpetrated against them should be the victim.
Yes. And we said this the other day there. You walk in the SNP office and you go, do I just tell the last behind the desk? No. There's a lass that does
even
it. Right? No, don't tell her. Oh, there's somebody doing the cleaning. We'll tell him. No, we'll have to tell the First Minister.
Now, Stephen has just pipped us to the latest twist in the saga that had the law lords warn MSPs not to undermine the law. And that is that the Labour Party have now, because of Dorothy's dual roles, have now reported her to, what do you call it? The ministerial, reported her for breaking the ministerial code.
Well, she hasn't broken the ministerial code because that is written, her position, her dual position, is written into the Scotland 1998 Act.
And most certainly is, her dual position is written into Scotland.
And as far as that's concerned, she has got to do exactly what it says in the tin. So at the end of the day, it's like, she's not broken any ministerial code at all. In actual fact, she was keeping to the lines of the ministerial code. That's it, in the story.
She was also staying within the ethical boundaries of the law.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what Labour's complaint here is, David. And Labour's complaint is that the chief prosecutor in Scotland informed a witness, informed the victim in Scotland that they'd been the victim of a crime a month before anybody else found out. Now, here's the interesting part. Because the chief prosecutor is also a minister, by law, in that cabinet, the cuckoos in the nest who wrote that law are attacking.
That's right. Because don't forget, guys, who was in power at the time that the Scottish Parliament came into being. None other than Tony Blair.
And who wrote the Scotland Act? The Labour Party.
Yes, it was Jim. No.
Now, interestingly, where else have we seen legislation written by Westminster recently being abused?
Don't know where to start. There's lots of things.
The main one that affects you and I is the 2000 Terrorism Act, Section 13.
Yeah. But we've got the High Court ruling on that one. And effectively, the High Court said, no, that was unlawful.
Well, it's still lawful until this.
What they're doing is they're keeping it in place until the appeal is heard, right?
And it's lawful, David, it's lawful until the appeal. Even the government's got the right to appeal.
Yeah. Yes, that's fine. That's okay. That's the way. In actual fact.
But it's interesting to watch this government, which has written both these pieces of legislation, now attempt to abuse the legislation that they wrote.
Okay. The legislation that they wrote regarding Palestine action is that they're upholding that one. That's the Labour Party, right? And there's really no way that you can actually look at that and go, why are they bothering with an appeal? They're bothering with an appeal so that they can actually effectively fix it so that they win the appeal. They're looking at ways that can possibly fix it so they win the appeal.
Well,
actually, I know that's down the rabbit hole, but there you go. Hang on a second.
that was in again, your bum.
Well,
Someone is at the front door.
Apparently somebody's at the front door.
yeah, I know.
And Alexandra Rutherford, Alexandra,
Sorry, he's left it. He's left it.
Sandra, naughty step, look in the bright side, it's a warm morning, so it's a warm day, so I haven't put the candle on.
Right. Anyway, I know it's down the rabbit hole, but I figure they're looking at ways that can actually nobble that.
I don't think it's down the rabbit hole, David. It's just, it's not even coincidence. This Labour government are looking at legislation they've written in the past and ways to abuse it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Sarwar did. And we know he does nothing without being told to date for doing that road.
Yeah. Yes.
Which means that the smart arse is doing that road and the legals doing that road have had a look at it and give them an attack route to try and help them in this election, because as we know, the polling is absolutely atrocious.
Well, let's hope the people of Scotland are a bit more savvy.
I hope
Because to be honest with you, this particular one, how would finding out that Morrell, an officer of the party,
had allegedly
taken money from the party, right? So it makes the SNP look dirty, right? So how would that give the SNP a political advantage?
I've no idea. But
anybody that looks at it goes, no, you know.
Exactly. Now, Ellie's complimenting you on your doorbell. And apparently Graham thought it was his door and went to his door and there was nobody there.
Yeah. No, the chap that don't run away.
Aye.
Borrowed something from.
That's what Graham was saying, damn kids.
Yeah.
Right, so the law lords are taking this attack on the legal system and on Dorothy Payne really serious.
Yeah.
Really serious, David.
I think in actual fact there should be several people that are done for contempt of court. But I think by them launching this particular action against the Scottish judicial system, I think Dorothy Payne, I think really it would be bad politics.
Bad politics.
Bad politics to actually fire back with a contempt of court order on several people and newspapers and all the rest of it, right? Once we look at it, some of the stories that have come out from the Sun.
Yep.
Wow. Right?
Aye. Now, this particular item was interesting to me, and that is the Scottish Greens' third proposition to win votes for the Scottish electors. First one, of course, is independence. Second one is a expanded childcare. Third one is expanded free public transport. You think these are vote winners, David?
The free public transport has to be a vote winner, right? Yes. But now I look at them and I go, Greens have cost SNP seats in the past, right? In actual fact, you look at the last one, where was it Reform that won a seat? I'm sure it was. I'm trying to remember, and it was 600 votes in it that went to the Greens, that could have gone to SNP, and SNP would have won that seat.
As I say, obviously, it's a good offer if they could achieve it.
Yeah.
And the other thing about it is, with the Alba party no standing, a lot of those voters won't return to the SNP.
Well, you
but
look
it
at
may
it,
assist the Greens.
you look at it logically. It's important for the Greens to win as many seats as they can,
Of course,
because they can stop the Scottish government from getting the majority, and that means then that they have to be involved in future.
Yep. Now let's address this one. We're finally ousting Labour from Wales. I'd hate to see us gain a Plaid Cymru Parliament in Scotland because of the Labour government. That's no likely here, mate, because
No,
at this point in time, Labour are polling third.
Yeah.
And but more importantly, they're still dropping.
Yeah.
They're still dropping like bricks.
Yeah.
In fact, the Tories are now here in Scotland.
In actual fact, this particular action that they've taken is not going to run well for them at all.
No, and the Tories here in Scotland are actually polling behind the Lib Dems at this point in time.
Yep.
Oh, so Larry's in the house. Hi, so Larry.
12% the Tories at the moment, aren't they?
Aye, what about that? Yep. I think the Libs are just on front on the list vote, wasn't it?
Yep.
Anyway, they say this, the Green Party, obviously, they're pro-independent.
Yep.
And that's become more prevalent in their manifesto.
Right. Time's getting on. It's now more than halfway through the year, and I'd like to get through so we can at least mention some of the stuff that we've got to mention.
Aye, okay then. Let's move on. Talking about the Scottish politics and the idea of coalitions, Russell Finlay gave a speech at the weekend saying that the regional list was and is the secret to lock out the SNP.
He's obviously looking at the councils that have gone ahead. Well, the SNP have been the outright winner.
Yep.
And what's happened is a coalition has taken place to pull in Labour and Conservative together. And what they've done is, through the numbers of doing that, they said we're taking control of the council.
Yep.
And obviously they're trying to do that.
Putting the feelers out, David. Putting the feelers out to see if Labour, Lib Dem and Reform are interested.
Yeah, it's very, very, very important that, therefore, that the SNP get an outright majority.
Yep.
And at the moment, we're only one seat away.
Yep. If even without it, the Greens are expected to take between 8 and 13 seats, that still would give the pro-independence and independence parties a majority. But that would mean the SNP and the Greens having to go into coalition to defeat a Brit-Nat coalition.
Yeah.
But I think what Finlay was doing at the weekend there, David, was putting his feelers out.
Yeah.
Because Annas knows he's going to get his arse kicked. Reform, they're bouncing. The Tories know they're going to get their arse kicked. The Lib Dems, they're rejuvenated. Apparently, they're looking at being up as high as 11 seats.
Yeah.
So if they could make a grand coalition with more MSPs than the SNP, then of course they could take control of Holyrood. And you're absolutely right, they've done that in councils.
Yeah.
So that's what Russell Finlay was putting the feelers out. A lot of people might have missed that in his speech when he was talking about the importance of the regional vote or the list vote. You know, not just was he pleading for votes for his family, for his party, he was pleading for votes for each of these Brit-Nat parties in order to stop the SNP from getting a list vote, which might be a list MSP that takes them out of that 65.
Yeah.
Or takes them to 65 and an outright majority. No, I think that's what Finlay was doing.
It's going to be, in actual fact, looking at it, it's going to be a very, very tight election. And a lot of people out there are going, the SNP are going the constituency vote are going to win. No, they're not. If you think that, you're thinking wrong. It's like and I take you back to the reasons why I give the SNP my second vote, even though we might get a situation where some unionists might get into Hollywood. What the hell do I care about a few minority unionists getting into Hollywood? What I want is I want the SNP to win every possible seat they can, and if they don't, they have the ability to get a list seat or two.
Right now, we commonly hear the envies of Scottish Greens as the Welsh ones haven't separated as a party where they only support indie if people want it, aka in ideals and not in actions. They literally have never been voted in here. Well, that's a lesson they need to learn. It's also a lesson that Labour need to learn here in Scotland. They are never going to get elected here in Scotland at this point in time because of what they did in the last referendum.
Yeah.
We all seen them hugging the Tories.
Yes. That's right.
And kissing the arses of the right wingers for all extremes. Scaring pensioners. The behaviour was atrocious. It was atrocious.
Anyway, right.
Right, let's move on. Right, let's end this section on a good news story.
Yes.
New Calmac ferry arrives from Turkey.
Hey!
Isle of Islay. Now,
and it's been well tried and tested because seemingly the journey from Turkey to Scotland, some of the weather they went through was atrocious. So therefore, the boat has come through as being very, very capable, right? But it's still got to go through sea trials here.
Yes, yeah. Different conditions again.
Yes.
The weather in the short routes and the conditions in the short routes between the mainland and
fine looking ship. Give us some of the stats, David. I think you were mentioning 14 articulated lorries it'll take.
It'll take 450 people.
Yeah.
It will take 14 full-size HGVs.
Yeah.
Or 100 cars.
Yeah.
Now, folks, it's not to do with space, it's got to do with weight.
Weight, that's right.
I wasn't thinking about it at the time. I said 14 fucking heavy goods and 100 cars. 14 heavy goods and 100 cars worth of space. I'm forgetting it's 100 cars worth of fucking cargo.
Yeah, as you were explaining, when they tie them down, they don't tie them down vertically.
No.
You have to tie them down sideways, so therefore you've got a space on either side where you've got the ties.
Aye, but it's not just the way they anchor them, David, as I say, it's got to do with more the weight.
Yeah.
Your average car knows about a ton.
Yeah.
Throw in a couple of passengers and maybe a couple of bags and you're up to one.
That's something that we should give due regard for. An average car weighs about a ton.
Aye.
Right? However, a battery car weighs nearer 2 ton.
Aye.
Because of the weight of the battery.
And then, of course, the car then the passengers, so it would make sense because each of these trucks are carrying 45 ton.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a weight of the truck on top of that.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a good 60 ton of pop.
I see there's a lot of complaints going on where people with the battery cars are complaining that their tyres don't last very long.
Well, that'd be the weight of the fucking battery. You get plenty of grip on the tyres while they're good. But they're not going to last very long, are they?
Yeah, quality be great, but just don't
spent years.
Don't use a city car park because it'll just pancake bump with all that weight in it. So.
Well, spent years researching how to make cars lighter.
Yeah.
And along comes the battery technology and doubles the weight again.
Wait, come on. That's good. The news about the boat, that's brilliant. Absolutely superb.
It is. And apparently the next one's due, there's 4 of them. Next one's due in 6 months and they're becoming the 6 monthly intervals. The Duncan, I think it's Mackenzie, the chief executive of Calmac, he says it's a brand new era for Calmac as all these new boats come on. Now, even though Ferguson's got its problems and the boats that they built have got problems, doesn't matter if we have a look at the first government to look at that fleet and actually go, we better start replacing some of this, that was the SNP.
Well, you know, it's like I see they're actually going to change the board as you come into Scotland. Scotland recently twinned with Turkey.
Right, let's move on and get down that road. We're going to start on one we're only going to cover a couple of subjects because they're big.
Yep.
Now, it would appear that the CEO of Reform UK has come out and told everybody that if Reform gets into government, they intend to set up an ICE-style agency to round up to 24,000 illegal migrants per year in the UK and deport them. Now, it's interesting the language they use on how they're going to detain these people. Apparently, they're going to detain them in something called modular housing, David.
Yes. Work shall set you free. Is that
right?
what we're looking at?
Maxi fry.
Yes.
Aye. But, of course, they're talking about concentration camps.
Well, it's well known that Nigel Farage did a speech at the behest of Hitler's granddaughter, and yes, recently, actually, he did a speech for this lassie in Germany, so Nigel Farage has got form. He's got form as long as your bloody arm. If you watch that thing led by donkeys on Nigel Farage, where it takes him all the way from being a schoolboy, right?
Aye.
You're thinking of making that a leader of a country where all these people, and if we're all blooming knuckle draggers, then fine, okay, get on with it, right? But they're not. Some English people are really nice. I lived with them at one point, so.
You're a brave bastard.
Yeah. No, the people I lived beside were nice. All right, they were nice.
That's
They didn't
as well.
call me Jock. There's one time where it was called Jock in a Frock, and that was he ended up with a sore lip. But anyway, that's another story.
We tended not to react that way even when we were talking piss like that. We just tell them to get out their ribbons and dance through the fucking nearest tree, you spanners. And get your bells on, you pussies.
Yeah. Anyway,
but the idea of releasing a nice type agency on the UK is pretty. Now, we have a border force, and we've seen what happened to them when they came to Glasgow trying to lift people.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. It's like you're talking about a nice style, a nice type operation, right? You're talking about them coming back up to Glasgow and using a gunpoint.
You know what happened there, David? Unfortunately, it's a spark they couldn't contain.
Yeah.
That's a fire they just couldn't contain.
No, it's just things like that horrify me. They really do.
No, the idea it horrifies me, David, but I could see it in Glasgow.
Yeah, that anybody would intend to create that kind of situation. Right. And I believe that Nigel Farage does that just purely in something for effect. Oh, he's hard. Oh, we'll vote for him. Don't worry about that, right? Get the bastards out of Scotland. I don't want to see them. I don't want to hear about them. They have no right to be leading my people, Scotland, astray the way that they are.
Oh, pardon me. Well, the point is, I mean, you imagine it in Dundee, Glasgow, and try and pull a stunt like that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
A few locals might get hurt, but you could put what was left of these fucking things, into a poly bag.
No, with a situation back at the turn of the century, 1906, I think it was, the thing that happened in George Square.
Oh.
I know, David, But you had a situation where the government down the road were worried about Scotland taking action like that.
Yep.
And they actually sent that they locked our own army in the barracks.
Yep.
Right. And they brought up the road howitzers, tanks, troops, all the rest of it, right, to quell this. I wonder if they'll do the same again.
I think they'll learn the lessons for the first time.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, like Red Sykes, Mary Barber.
Yeah.
Red Glasgow.
Mm-hmm.
They lost, David.
Red Clydesiders, yes, I know, appreciate
They lost.
Yeah.
They brought their hardware and it didn't wash.
Yeah.
The people of Glasgow says, all right, and then we'll just wait for time. There's an election coming, you fuckers.
Yeah.
End of. Next thing you know, Mary Barber's the mayor of the city. And the citizens are running the city.
Yeah.
You know, that's where we get Red Clydesiders from. Yeah. John McLean and all them.
Right.
People need to know their history. Right, let's move on to Randy Andy and the Epstein files, shall we?
Oh, wonderful, yes. Let's get into that. Get our heads right in amongst it.
The interesting thing about it, David, is I said I wasn't going to download these fucking files and read them. But after some of the bigger investigative outfits like Open Democracy and Navarra Media and have looked at it and the legal mob, what they call. Anyway, I get other emails. Now that they've all looked at it, I thought there's some names come up on there other than Andy, and Andy seems to be taking the brunt of the attention.
Yeah, I mean, you've got
what about fucking Mandy? What about Blair? What about Brown? What are they in the files for? So I'm going to go and look for myself because I don't know.
Yeah, I think you have to. I think we both have to, and tell people.
It's going to be fucking laborious, David.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like you've got to look at the Epstein files and go, right, okay, is that true or is it false? Is it something that Epstein's been trying to create a smokescreen over, or is it something that's factual, right? And just be careful.
Look at the reasons why these people have been mentioned.
Yeah.
Have they been willing participants in some of Epstein's perversions, or were they just being manipulated for his business empire? But and of course, there's the intelligence side of it, which is a rabbit hole we're going to avoid.
Yeah, and make no bones about it, right? My feeling, my opinion, and his opinion, David's opinion.
Good Law Project. Thanks, Stephen.
It's all backed up by Mossad in Israel.
Well, as I say, that's a hole we're not going to go down. But there are questions going to be asked. Why is it Andy's front and centre and the Dark Lord's being ignored?
Oh,
who's more powerful, the royal family or Mandy?
Yeah, I mean, his Global Council, the lobbying firm co-founded by Peter Mandelson, is in a fight for its life as blue chip clients abandon it over links between both its co-founders and Jeffrey Epstein. You know, you go through this is directly from a private eye investigation, if you like, you know, and the partner of Mandy was a chap called Ben Weg Crosser, right, and he was offered to become a peer of the realm by Keir Starmer in 2024, but he refused it. And what we're going to do is, after this program, I'm going to have a look at why he bothered to refuse, because it doesn't mention that. Most important thing is, among the many clients deserting Global Council in recent weeks are Barclays Bank, Tesco's, Bank of America, obviously, and the pharmaceutical giant GlaxoSmithKline. they done was what happened was they developed a dinner dates, like, whereby because it was a dinner, because it was personal time and all the rest of it, they didn't have to put it down as a normal meeting, right? And what they did was they disguised the clients. So in other words, the chief executive of Tesco or whatever, right, came in, got made up to look like something else, right? And then it just became a conversation between how they would sort of like how they do this and how they do that and all the rest of it, right? And allowed them to get lobbying information and get more money from the clients, right? Because don't forget, it's a lobbying organization. And what happens is, with a lobbying organisation, if you want to, whereby everybody has to wear green, or then effectively you set up a lobbying organisation, you pay them an amount of money, and they go in and they get a hold of all the movers and shakers, the civil service, and you name it, and they talk to them. Look, everybody should be wearing green because of X, Y, Z, right? So
But
that
basically, what they're doing is he was hosting parties, bringing in bosses of industry, teaming them up with the head of the civil service to influence policy.
yeah. This is a quote from Mandelson. I periodically invite people from business and elsewhere to meet for dinner and discuss the world, to share views. There is no agenda, simply an opportunity for a small group of smart and engaging individuals to meet and talk. By labeling them as dinners, Global Council ensures that clients brought to meet the government officials are not listed in official transparency releases. Departments are also resisting freedom of information requests for details of guests at these events, claiming this is personal information. So there you are. I mean, the Cabinet Office did release some details in February 2025 dinner with John Stevens, Special Advisor to Pat McFadden, Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster at the time. They showed that Director General level civil servants from the Treasury and DSIT also went along. There you go. So that allows them to basically get the movers and shakers within government and say, oh, why don't you put 20 million on this? If you just put 20 million on this, dead easy, we'd be able to do such and such. You know, we don't want that. Lobbying should be against the law. If you want something argued, you go speak to your MP or your MSP, and they argue the situation in the legislative chamber.
Aye, or in committee.
That's right. You do not have a situation where you've got these dark figures called lobbyists going about, oh, you know, I'm such and such. Do you want to buy a watch? You know, end of the day, it's like, seriously, we don't need that. Lobbying should be against the law.
So, Larry, I'll add them to the list. I'm going to download these files.
Yeah.
I want to know what Blair. I want to know why Brown's sweating it and screaming like a pig at the authorities to concentrate on Mandy and
do you know where the link is? The places Epstein is part of this Israel thing, right? Is definitely through Maxwell. Maxwell, who is Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, was
that's the direction I want to go, and I want to stay contemporary.
Member of Mossad, right?
Listen, David, that's no direction I want to go in here. I want to keep it contemporary. I want to know why Brown is desperate to throw Mandy under the bus.
Well,
and I want to know why Blair, who also appears in these files, isn't sweating it.
Straight away, we've got a situation when Brown was in power himself. Now, previous to that, when he was with Blair, it was a stand-up feud between Brown and Mandelson. They hated each other with a vengeance. And then, when Brown became Prime Minister on his own, and you saw Blair blooming driving off into the distance, who does he take on? Is their Trade Secretary? Mandelson.
As
Now,
I say,
as far as I'm concerned, Brown, that then there's a good reason for that, and it could be that Brown is.
there's things you and I know about Gordon Brown that are no public fucking knowledge or common knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's not something we're going to talk about here.
Yeah, that's right.
But what I will say is, I want to know why the press is all on the target we've known about for years, rather than the fucking ones that are being prominent in our society, especially Prime Minister and Chancellor, and of course the Dark Lord. Why isn't the press concentrating on these people?
Yeah. Now, what do you know about Mr. Doyle?
Oh, the one that's promoted to House of Lords and it's been discarded by the Labour Party.
Yes.
I think he's Mandelson's partner in a business, as you know.
There was even less information about two Global Council dinners attended by Matthew Doyle
Global
in
Council
2024 and February 2025. Doyle, now a noble but recently suspended from Labour over his support for a paedophile councillor, was Keir Starmer's Director of Communications at the time of the dinners. Number 10 said, "I had no record of these meetings apart from the dates." End of.
How convenient.
David,
let's talk about this. Factually, when we talk about the rules of that fucking place down that road, you put them in a social situation, civil servants and politicians, and you don't have to keep public record.
Yeah, that's right.
That is basically what Mandelson was doing. He was pulling in out on the parliamentary rules.
We talk about the UK and the situation with freedom of information when they go, we don't need to tell you.
But remember, Blair was the administration that brought us cash for questions.
Yeah, that's right.
And what we're talking about here is basically cash for questions. But we need to factor in these questions being fed to Mandelson and market manipulation.
Yeah.
And then Mandelson feeding them to Epstein for market manipulation.
Absolutely.
You can
imagine that the Mandelson would have been in amongst those particular dinners, and he'd have been listening very, very carefully at what was being said. About the wine or whatever brandy is being knocked back, and people listen tongues and all the rest of it.
Special herbs were sprinkled across the food to loosen tongues.
Yeah, well, okay, we don't know that, but at the same time, one can imagine that they were drinking at these.
But if you're only doing the rabbit hole, you may as well go the whole fucking way.
Yeah. Okay. At the end of the day, it's like this excellent piece put across by Private Eye, and
that's an excellent piece.
Some of the stuff that they put up is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. The Eye's columnist Slicker says, raised an eyebrow at the connection between Peter Mandelson and jailbird Jeffrey Epstein way back in March 2009.
Aye, that's a terrifying thought, comedy.
Yeah, and don't forget, it was 2008 that Mandelson was taken on by none other than Gordon Brown.
Yes.
Right. All right.
Mandelson was at it well before that, as we know. Right, David, we're going to have to wrap this up here. But folks, when we're looking at this,
before we go, the final thing is the laughing matter. Labour backbenchers now seem brazenly unconcerned about upsetting their party bosses, and the whips don't seem to give a fig about it. That's the breakdown of the Labour Party.
Yes, of course it is. Now, we've been doing this rabbit hole long enough, but there was some things that really need to be said there.
Is it rabbit hole? Is it a rabbit hole?
No, it isn't a rabbit hole. No, the Epstein files have been published.
That's the thing. We used to look at the Private Eye and go, no reading that. It's down the rabbit hole. And you think to yourself, no way, right? And then when it comes to now, the stuff that they have been on about, we're going, oh, maybe they were right.
Aye. Right, apparently one more like to hit the 100 mark, folks. It affects the algorithm, it affects the amount of money we get your food banks.
Come on, somebody do it.
Hit it.
Somebody hit it.
So Larry, you're going to have a great insight tracking this stuff. You've lived in that house for 15 years, so any insight you can give me, you know how to contact me. But I think we're going to have to download these files and dissect them.
I didn't look at them because I'd end up putting all, is it 3 million items on one post on Facebook?
I want to know why Blair and Brune are in there and why Brune's sweating like fucking Blair's no. I also want to know, but I know I'm not going to find this in the Epstein files. How did Blair buy himself onto fucking Donald Trump's board of peace?
Absolutely. You know, the situation that comes to mind is having Blair walk in to a classroom of children. The teacher walks out, locks the door, and Blair's left with them kids.
Right.
That's basically what's happening is with the people of Gaza. We've got something like Blair, and Blair is a war criminal.
Aye. Now, Jim, don't you worry about the fact that the Epstein files have been published without context. David and I have been at this shit for a long time. We know how to find the context.
Yeah.
As you just heard, we probably told you about a few companies that exist that you don't know about in Mandelson's shit as well.
Global Council.
Mandelson's company, that's right. So it's not as if we're not aware of this stuff.
Yeah.
You're fucking whacking that much in. It's very hard to structure it. You've got to take time. That's why I take the weekend to start structuring these thoughts. You know. And generally at the weekend, I actually shelved them as a background thought while I watch mechanical nonsense on the YouTube. You know, but that gives me time to structure things because, like you, David, I'm an engineer and I've got quite a structured mind. No, you present me with a situation, I look at the situation, then I start to work out a resolution to the situation.
Yeah.
You know, that's just how the mind works. So don't worry about it, Jim. If I decide to jump into the Epstein files, and it looks like I'm going to have to, because if I want to know why Blair and Brown are in there, I'm going to have to look myself, because it appears the mainstream media is not going to tell us.
Well, we start to move towards another case of civil disobedience on this, possibly. It's something that we need to talk about quite seriously.
It is something that, as I say, with all my other things going on, David, is, you know, I'm always studying legislation and things like that. This is one I really did want to avoid because I knew it was put out there without context. It was just a dump.
Yeah.
You know, and it means a bit more background work, as you know. Hey, brilliant again, guys. Dave McGuinness, I'll put you in the mood for a wee lager and lime and you don't drink beer. Lager. Have a coffee, Sandra. Have a coffee. Right, guys, we're going to wind this one up here.
David is not working tonight.
No.
So, or if he is, expect to see him on the 6 o'clock news after he's piled up all these buses.
I don't know anything about buses, mate. I operate. I work with the trucks and luxury coaches.
Yes,
your buses.
Buses, fine. All right, there you go.
Hey, if I called them buses at my work, they'd bite me.
Hey.
People that pay 260 grand for a piece of machinery to transport people about in luxury don't want them called buses.
So how much that double decker cost?
About 120 grand, I'd imagine.
So it's just only half the value of your luxury coaches. So
like a toilet in there, it'd be worth $500,000. And the facility to make a cup of tea. Anyway, that's it for the day, folks. We hope you found it interesting. We hope you found it informative. For anybody who may have given us a super chat towards the food banks, thank you very much. To the moderators, thanks very much. Over to you, Mr. Milligan.
Time for, as you probably guessed, independence, 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 as they say in Scotland. And
eyes on the fucking prize. And the prize is the 2026 election. At least a pro-independence majority. But what we would really desire is an SNP majority, because there is a precedence for a Section 30 order to be given to Scotland.
Well, if it was my gift to give, and we had a majority, an SNP majority, and I was in charge, I would not approach the government and down in London. I would simply say to the newspapers, we're going to have an independent referendum on such and such a day.
Yep.
And I would actually do it. I would say, and it's going to be 2026.
Yep.
End of story. And what would happen is that the people down Westminster would find out in their news feeds. And that's what they've been doing to us for a while now.
Well, what would happen is they did what happened with Alec. They come up the fucking road and negotiate.
Yeah.
They did their hardball stuff and didn't make it go away with Nicola.
That's right.
So now they know it's a rock and a hard place, and they've set a legal precedence.
Yeah.
Right, let's end it there. Bye, folks.
Bye, guys.